In day 8 in the trial of torture-slaying alleged ringleader Lemaricus Davidson, we started the day with the defense attorney's closing argument, and what they told the jury was that the state's outline of what happened to Channon Christian and Christopher Newsom in January 2007 represented a, quote, made-up story that was inconsistent, they argued, with the facts.
The prosecution has told you, we can't tell you a story. We can't tell you what happened all the way through. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, what the prosecution did, because they couldn't tell you one, is they made one up.
The defense told jurors that there was no evidence that Davidson had raped Chris or had shot Chris.
We asked for testing on the semen that was on the anal swab of Mr. Newsom, and it shows no other contributors. We asked for that. We knew Mr. Davidson had nothing to do with that rape.
The defense told jurors that there was no evidence that he had anally raped Channon. He was very careful to distinguish the various acts of rape on Channon.
Mr. Davidson did not rape Channon Christian anally. Now, Dr. Malusha and I went back and forth about that issue a lot. Use your common sense. We know, all of us are adults. We know that semen drains from the vaginal canal after sex. You can look at the autopsy pictures. They're in evidence that Miss Christian is in that kennel, and she's in a position where gravity is pulling all the fluids in her body down towards her buttocks. Seminal drainage from the vaginal canal is a reasonable explanation for Mr. Davidson's semen being on the anal swab.
He did not concede rape of Channon vaginally, but he did again acknowledge sexual intercourse with Channon. But he said there was no evidence to suggest that the beating injuries she suffered came at Davidson's hands, and he also argued that based on time of death established by the medical examiner, Davidson very well would have been gone from the house by the time that Channon was placed in the trash can.
You go home after this jury selection and there's a dead body in your house and it's got garbage bags from your house in it and they have your prints on it. You're going to be prosecuted for murder because of that. First-degree murder. Ladies and gentlemen, use your common sense. You pick a bag up, put it down, prints go on it. You got a guy with a size 12 shoe. You looked up and you saw the difference in the 12 and the 9.5. And the state wants you to believe that Mr. Davidson was running around all over town for 2 days or more with Mr. Newsom's shoes crammed on his size 12 foot. State wants you to convict Mr. Davidson and convict him and sentence him to life or worse because a gun that Mr. Davidson had when he was arrested could have been used to kill Mr. Newsom. That's what they're asking you to do.
The state got to go for a second time because they bear the burden of proof. Prosecutor Leland Price handled closings today. Takesha Fitzgerald handled them yesterday. And what he told the jury was all the defense was really doing was trying to get them, as he said, to run rabbit trails.
I want you to think back to one particular scene that was described to you that will help you in your deliberations, put it all together. Think back to Daphne Sutton's testimony. Now, Daphne Sutton was the off and on again girlfriend of Lemaricus Davidson. And she described to you how she went over there on Sunday to 2316 Chipman Street on January the 7th. She went over there after she had talked to Davidson on the phone, and he had some clothes to give her. But he said, give him 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes. Now, Miss Sutton had no idea what was really going on at that house. What she suspected was that he had a woman there. She tried to go in the bathroom to get some of the toiletries that she had left behind. She couldn't get in that way, so she tried to go in the kitchen. And who was it that blocked her from going any further? This defendant. Didn't want to go back there. What did he tell her? This is my house. This is my house. You're not going any further. I don't want you to see what's going on behind me. Because it wasn't just some other mistress that he had back there. It was an ongoing kidnapping, rape, and murder.
If they convict Davidson of any of the felony murder or first-degree murder counts charged in this case, then we will go immediately into the penalty phase for the jury to decide whether Lemaricus Davidson should die for these crimes, should get life without parole, or a life sentence which carries a mandatory 51 years.